Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing great today. We've got something really exciting to talk about because Battlefield 6 just dropped its latest update, and this one's a pretty significant step forward. I've been reading through the official EA patch notes, checking what's actually changed, and playing around a bit to see how it feels. And honestly, there's a lot to unpack here. This update isn't just about a few balance tweaks or bug fixes, it's about tightening the experience, making the game smoother, and bringing back that signature Battlefield feel that players have been missing. So, yeah, let's get into it and talk about what's new, what feels better, and what's actually worth your time once you log in again. First off, the update officially went live on October 28th, 2025, around 9 a.m. UTC, which means pretty much everyone should have it now across all platforms. Later that same day, at around 3 p.m. UTC, the first season content started rolling out. So this patch basically sets the foundation for what's coming next in Season 1. You can tell the developers at DICE wanted to clean up the core experience before adding new content, because the focus here is on fundamentals: movement, weapon handling, lighting, sound, and just overall quality of life. Let's start with movement, because it's honestly one of the biggest and most noticeable improvements. The devs clearly heard the community feedback about animations feeling clunky or unresponsive, and they've gone through to polish them across the board. Things like stance transitions now feel smoother. You go from crouching to standing much faster, and with less of that awkward pause in between. Vaulting feels cleaner, less floaty, and there's better control over how your soldier interacts with obstacles. Even little things like landing animations have been adjusted. So when you hit the ground, your character doesn't feel like they're bouncing off invisible springs. It feels tighter, more responsive, and more like how Battlefield used to feel back in its golden days. Even parachutes have been tweaked with new customization options, so you can now change how your chute looks as you drop into the fight. It's a small touch, but it adds a bit of personal flair that Battlefield fans always love. Weapon handling has also seen some serious attention. The big change is how dispersion, basically the random spread of bullets, has been reworked. Previously, you'd be firing at someone, and even if your aim was perfect, bullets could land off target because of that hidden spread system. Now it's far more predictable. Each weapon has its own specific dispersion pattern, tuned to fit its class and damage profile. Lower damage weapons might have a little more spread to keep them balanced, while higher damage weapons feel more accurate, rewarding steady aim. The idea here is to make shooting feel fairer, more skill-based, and less random. Snipers also got some love in this update. If you're not using a recon class but still rocking a sniper rifle, your accuracy isn't penalized anymore by random spread. Instead, sway starts during the zoom transition. That means if you're patient and line up your shots, you can actually make them count without the weapon feeling artificially handicapped. Now, if you're someone who cares about visuals, and let's be real, everyone does, then you'll appreciate the lighting and visibility improvements. One of the most frustrating things before was running out of a dark area into bright sunlight and suddenly getting blinded or losing sight of enemies because of extreme exposure differences. This update tones that down. The lighting transitions are smoother, interiors are better lit, and fog and smoke effects no longer hang around forever after explosions. It's not just a cosmetic improvement, it genuinely makes the game more playable, especially in high action moments where visibility matters. You can see enemies more clearly, spot movement through debris, and overall it just feels easier on the eyes. And then there's the sound, which I've got to say might be one of the most underrated improvements in this update. The audio team went absolutely wild. They've added new projectile flyby sounds, improved explosion effects, and revamped how weapon fire and vehicle engines sound. Everything has a deeper, more realistic punch. If you're using headphones, you'll notice how much better spatial audio feels. Shots coming from different directions, vehicles passing by, or rockets flying overhead. It all feels more immersive now. Even haptic feedback has been improved on controllers to match different actions like sprinting, firing, vaulting, or taking hits. There's this subtle layer of realism that really helps you feel connected to the chaos of the battlefield. The sound mix also got rebalanced, so explosions don't drown out everything else, and you can actually hear footsteps and callouts more consistently. They even added small details like radio chatter coming through the controller speaker. It's those kinds of touches that make it feel like DICE is really fine-tuning the atmosphere. But of course, it wouldn't be a Battlefield update without a long list of fixes, and this one has plenty. Soldier-related issues were all over the place before, from ziplines bugging out to characters detaching at weird angles or hitboxes not aligning properly. Those issues have been ironed out. You can now climb, slide, and mantle more naturally without breaking animations. They even fixed the way soldiers land so the model doesn't snap to the side when you hit the ground. It's the sort of polish that makes everything flow better during fast-paced fights. If you ever noticed your gun appearing twisted or disappearing when swimming, that's fixed too. Basically, Everything involving how your character interacts with the world has been retuned for consistency. Vehicles didn't get as much attention as infantry this time, but there are still some solid improvements. There's better haptic feedback when switching weapons inside tanks, which adds a more tactile feel. Visual clipping and seat position bugs got fixed. And in general, the vehicle experience feels cleaner. One thing people are still watching is how some of the vehicle weapon systems perform, like the MR missile on IFVs, which some players think is still too strong, but we'll probably see further tweaks in a future hotfix if that continues to be an issue. Gadget's also got a handful of important fixes. The MS-148 glaive, for example, used to block your view during certain animations like combat dives or vaults. Now it doesn't. The defibrillator's weird floating glitch is gone, and supply pouches actually work properly again, resupplying ammo as intended. Deployable gadgets will no longer get stuck in debris piles, which was super annoying before, especially on destruction-heavy maps. The devs also made small gameplay adjustments like AT grenades now creating smaller craters to prevent them from being overpowered against infantry, and structures needing more hits to break apart when using melee tools like the sledgehammer. It's a subtle balancing act that makes destruction feel more realistic without making every building crumble instantly. Weapons and attachments saw a solid balance pass, too. Besides the dispersion adjustments, DICE fixed a bunch of smaller but noticeable issues, things like misaligned sights, incorrect field of view changes when deploying a bipod, and wrong attachment costs for suppressors. Automatic weapons feel smoother now, especially when burst firing. The recoil recovery is cleaner, so each shot lands closer to where you expect it. Bipods also behave more reliably on uneven terrain, which is great news for anyone who likes to set up a support position. It's all about making gunfights more consistent, less frustrating, and more rewarding for players who take time to master their weapon's rhythm. Maps also got a lot of fixes, both visual and functional. Some of these changes are really noticeable if you've been playing certain modes a lot. For example, fog and smoke no longer stick around forever after explosions, which was a big visibility problem. Lighting transitions between inside and outside areas have been adjusted so your eyes don't feel like they're being blasted every time you move between rooms. Specific maps like Mirak Valley, Siege of Cairo, Liberation Peak, New Sobek City, and Manhattan Bridge got dedicated fixes, things like zipline alignment, out-of-bounds zones, spawn points, and objective visibility. These might sound minor, but they make a huge difference in how smooth the game feels, especially in objective modes like Conquest, Rush, and Breakthrough. They even fixed weird end-of-round bugs where players could get stuck if a party leader left too early. The interface also got some well-deserved attention. You'll now see markers for newly unlocked weapons, attachments, and gadgets, which makes progression feel more rewarding. There are also new 3D previews for gadgets, showing how they look when deployed, and even short video clips demonstrating how they work. That's such a smart addition for newer players who might not know what each gadget does. Cosmetic customization has also been expanded a bit, so expect more visual variety soon. On top of that, small but nice touches like changing save and close to just close in the deploy menu make the interface more intuitive. A few annoying bugs with XP boosts not displaying properly, or the HUD disappearing with certain aspect ratios, have been fixed too. It all just feels more polished and professional now. There were even updates to control settings, like adding flick look bindings for helicopters and jets, which gives pilots more flexibility when flying. Visual scaling on different monitors was improved too, so if you're running a 16:10 display or an ultra-wide setup, things should finally look consistent without borders or stretching. Single player didn't get ignored either. There were a few mission-specific fixes, like an issue in the first mission where you couldn't lean out during a last stand scene if a cutscene triggered while using a knife. That's been cleaned up.